Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about NXT UK. We've got a preview for AEW Rampage and WWE Smackdown. We've got Impact Wrestling results. We're going to be talking about who Roman's next challengers may be. There's been a huge departure of sorts from WWE, so we're going to talk about Succession today, Larson. Ooh. But first, the talk of the week, of course, has been Sasha Banks and Naomi, and potentially both of them could be free agents sooner than later. Before we get started, do us a huge favor, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to this in the audio realm, do us a huge favor. It's a free, easy, great way to support Going In Raw. Leave us a rating, review, or a comment. Larson, what's going on with Sasha Banks and Naomi, man?
So let's go back a couple days. During an episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer mentioned that Naomi's contract might be expiring soon. So these transcripts come to you from bodyslam.net. That's what Dave had to say. Quote, so the deal is, and this is brought to me as well, her contract, I guess, is expiring soon, but she was in negotiations for a new deal. It's possible they might go with the idea that she's not leaving no matter what. Her family's there, and so they don't feel the leverage they might have felt with like Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn or someone where if we lowball them, it's like they're going to leave. This sounds like Meltzer.
This is the most verbatim Meltzer. It's like,
yeah, it really is.
Maybe, from what I've heard, it's like, well, what might happen here is.
Yeah. So then on the latest episode of the Masked Man show, former WWE writer Kazim Famuyiwa spoke about Naomi's contract potentially expiring in the near future, but also Sasha Banks. She might have an expiring deal in the near future as well. This is what Kazim had to say. Quote, I did hear that, their contracts were in negotiations for renewals. I don't know how soon it is, but I think Sasha and Naomi's contracts are set to expire within the next 2 months already. So there's another caveat there where it's like, okay, what happens if their contracts just run out while they're doing this? He continues, I don't know. There's so much unspoken. There's so much unknown with the situation that I don't want to be that person who's just irresponsibly, just spewing things recklessly like people tend to do in wrestling podcasts. I'm just saying what I know, and you do with that information what you will. Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. So given the wrestling landscape now, you got AEW over there able to offer significant money deals to talents, maybe not as much as WWE, but when you consider the potential creative freedom you have in AEW relative to WWE, that could make up for a few dollars.
Sasha's worth the money. Sasha's a big deal. Naomi's a big deal, but Sasha's a big deal.
Yeah. So if Sasha and Naomi are unhappy with what's going on creatively for the women's tag division, they got contracts coming up. That's a ton of leverage for them to accomplish seemingly what they're setting out to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because yes, Naomi is married to Jimmy Uso. Yes, Sasha has been at WWE for a number of years. If you take that for granted, those facts for granted, guess what? They could be showing up on Dynamite. You can't just assume they're going to stick around because, they have ties to the company.
Let's talk about Naomi for a second.
Sure.
What has being part of the bloodline really got her? Being underused, being underappreciated. Look, most wrestlers, they'd be totally happy to have Naomi's career, but what she provides, she has been underutilized.
Yeah.
And you and I both bitch about the state of women's wrestling in AEW. Maybe Sasha and Naomi would be the kind of thing, Sasha and Naomi, or one or the other or both, would be the kind of thing that would kick that into gear a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if Tony Khan is dead set like against having more than one women's match on Dynamite. I don't know. But Sasha Banks is a big deal.
Yes.
And it does add absolutely it adds a new wrinkle to this entire situation if their contracts are up within like 60 days or whatever. That absolutely does. You're absolutely right. Just because she's got her husband there, she's not on screen. She's not part of the bloodline, which, by the way, would have been a really good idea. So they're not using her in that respect.
Nope.
They were going to have her lose at pay-per-view for the title. She's not going to beat Ronda for the women's title. She's not going to beat Bianca for the women's title. And I'm not even saying that's the end all be all. It's that even with Naomi, there really hasn't been much. Like, she had a good thing with Sonya Deville. That didn't even get, that whole thing with Sonya and Charlotte, that didn't even get the proper closure, the proper finish that it really deserved. I'll be honest. I understand from a company standpoint, it probably makes sense to put Ronda in that SmackDown women's title match at Mania. But I don't know, man. I think that if you take the time and effort to build up Naomi, she's going to get a bigger crowd reaction. And then you're potentially in-house building your own big name as opposed to relying on somebody coming in from the outside. You would just think that would be a preferable outcome. But I understand Ronda already came with somewhat of a mainstream name, and I get that. But it's like, man, put her in that match to make it a three-way or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've dropped the ball with her for ages.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's like, okay, there's been plenty of stuff. I mean, just off the top of my head, Malachi Black and his wife, Zelina Vega, like, didn't bother them to, well, he was released.
Yeah.
So I guess but then she was not with the company at the time. She ended up re-signing with WWE. So it's not like she stuck with him, There's been plenty of instances of couples that are not in the same company. You're right. They should not take that for granted. They shouldn't think, she has no leverage because her husband's here. What?
No. Naomi's got a ton of leverage. And
that might be Meltzer just speculating because he thinks that's how they operate. That's what it seems like it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times where Meltzer will state something that he hears and then speculate on it thereafter. Yes, totally.
Yeah. And as far as Sasha, god damn, pal, if her contract's up in 2 months, the entire world is her oyster. It really, at this point, she's already part of the Star Wars franchise, albeit in a supporting way, but still, you just takes one episode of her showing back up in, Mandalorian season, whatever, they're about 3, I guess.
3, I think. Yeah.
And then she could get a spinoff. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but things like that happen. There's this is a nerdy thing. There's a whole Star Trek series going on right now, Strange New Worlds, that got spun off because of fan appreciation for those characters having appeared in a different Star Trek show. That kind of stuff these days happens. They're desperate for content, and franchises want popular aspects from those series to spin off into other things that they know is going to be a surefire thing.
Yeah, especially because shows like Mandalorian are not going to go on in perpetuity.
Right, exactly.
They're expensive shows to make, and that while this popular, you got to take advantage. And if that means Sasha gets an expanded role season 3, which we don't know what's going to happen. We know, as far as I know, whether she's going to be in it or not. The reception she got from her appearances in season 2, well received across the board from my recollection.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. While this Mandalorian franchise is a huge thing, take advantage. And if Sasha's character gets a fan following, you do the show.
So Sasha has confirmed she's not going to be in season 3.
All right.
But not to say she can't return at some point.
Some other capacity, that's true.
Yeah. And on top of that, Sasha really loves wrestling. She really loves wrestling. And who knows, maybe all the complaining about AEW and how they treat their women's division is the kind of thing that would make her say, hey, it'd be kind of interesting to go and try that as a challenge, to try to build that. On the other hand, you'd think it's Sasha. I honestly think Sasha, with the way when I've seen her in interviews and stuff, I feel like she's going to want to continue to be on the biggest stage, WWE, on her terms. You know, she wants to write her own way on the biggest. She wants to go head to head with Vince McMahon and say, doesn't work for me, brother, and then still get the bag. And we'll see, maybe she'll be able to pull it off. You know, I feel like she does have a lot of leverage. If WWE doesn't agree, then so be it. But yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be that does add, if nothing else, because there's still a lot we don't know about this situation.
That's 100% true.
It adds, if that's true, if the contract situation is added to that, that's a much more interesting situation as opposed to them having like, 2.5 more years. Well, there's, at some point I got to come back,
Yeah. I mean, also too, it shines a greater spotlight on their motivation for potentially, we don't know for sure because we haven't heard their side of the story, walking out as well. I mean, I'm sure creative has a lot to do with it.
Oh, but if you're out in 2 months anyways, it's like, what are they going to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, their contract situation can, to a degree, inform their decision to walk out.
Oh, yeah. I would think so. Absolutely. So. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of contracts and paying bills, let's go ahead and do some of that. Larson?
Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp Online Therapy. Steve, life can sometimes feel overwhelming, and it's easy to feel burned out without really realizing it. There have been times where I felt unmotivated, detached, fatigued, and I wondered why. Then I thought about it and came to the conclusion I might have just been burned out.
Ooh, yeah, man. Usually burnout is associated with work, but any of our roles in life can lead to burnout. And BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking to someone can help you figure out what's causing the stress in your life.
Yeah, and I've been there. I've gone through the process of trying to find a therapist, and I can tell you it's not easy to find the right person to talk to. But BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to, and it's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the stress in your life, give BetterHelp a try. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw.
That's BETTERHELP.com/raw.
This was very, very interesting, Larson. So,
yes,
Stephanie McMahon took to Twitter yesterday to announce that she was taking a leave of absence from WWE. She said this: "As of tomorrow, I am taking a leave of absence from the majority of my responsibilities at WWE. WWE is a lifelong legacy for me, and I look forward to returning to the company that I love after taking this time to focus on my family." Following that news, WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston, who, by the way, is a must-follow on Twitter if you're on the Bird app, said this: Nick Khan will be taking over most of Stephanie McMahon's duties in her absence, according to multiple people at WWE. Select business partners have already been informed. WWE employees I've heard from found out about Stephanie's leave of absence when she tweeted it. And then in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer confirmed that Stephanie's announcement was a secret to most in WWE. He said this: "This came out of nowhere to most. Most talent and those in the office and creative didn't know about it until they heard she tweeted it. It was obviously a tough year with Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H, Game of Game. What else? Cerebral Assassin, thank you. Terrorizing. With Paul Levesque being out for so long, and she had to pick up a lot of his responsibilities, and obviously had to deal from a family standpoint with his health issues. Levesque is back in the office full time now. There is no time frame for her to return, but we were told she is returning. All kinds of speculation has transpired, but the only thing we were told directly is that this was 100% her choice, and this has been coming for some time, not something that just happened out of nowhere, even though it would appear because virtually nobody knew anything except a few who had it kept totally quiet until just before she released the info, but she was not forced or pressured, and it was her choice." So clearly the takeover is happening. Succession, the line is clear. There's some sort of boar on the floor, bear hug happening here, Larson. So obviously nobody knows shit about this, and it would be horribly reckless to speculate on what's going on. But you have to appreciate, Twitter's a cesspool, man. But some of the hilarious speculation on there goes right to Succession. Oh, the Nick Khan takeover is happening. Ooh. Look, for all we know, she's burnt out. For all we know, she's not burnt out. And this is Nick Khan sort of squeezing her out. We don't know anything.
No, we don't know. We don't know.
But this is still very interesting.
It is. It is interesting. Someone, Stephanie's so synonymous with WWE, stepping away, regardless of the reason, is interesting. And it is, especially seemingly coming out of nowhere, fairly shocking news. Her and her family have had a difficult year with Triple H having the cardiac event. And that could take its toll on somebody, and it's entirely possible that she just needs time away.
My sister left. She worked at a massive investment firm, and she was pretty high up the ladder there. And at a certain point, she's like, "This is just too much, man." So she left, started up a little consulting business of her own. She makes like $200 an hour, man. It's nuts. Oh my God, goddamn. But yeah, and my sister, the way my sister is, she's crazy. She's like, oh yeah, it's only for 6 hours a day now. But then like a week later, she's like, oh, I was able to get them for like 2 more hours. I want to work more. I'm like, Monica, you just got out of a very stressful situation. She thrives on the stress. She likes that shit, man.
I think there's people that do thrive on that environment.
But I mean, everybody. Sometimes you just got to take a step back and reanalyze stuff, and maybe that's this, and it's still, it's like one eye looking at this, keeping an eye on this situation over here. See how that goes down.
I would be surprised if this was a Succession type situation.
Yeah, I kind of would too, but at the same time, I still get the feeling, Nick Khan came in. They brought in Nick Khan for a reason, man. They brought him in for a reason, to sell that for 10 bills. That's my reckless fanfic speculation. Is they were offered 4 bills, and McMahon said we're worth 10 because it's Vince McMahon and he's weird like that. And I think they brought
that was Vince's own evaluation.
Yeah. Based on nothing but his gut.
No. Well, Disney bought Lucasfilm for 4. We're worth 2.5 times that, pal.
The elbows flaring up like this. Yeah, UFC sold for 4 bills. I'm 10 bills.
His dancing he did in that video. Part the walk.
Oh boy.
Before we move on, we got a raid here from Fightful Gaming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fightful Gaming. That's so nice of you. That's so good.
It is very, very nice. You want to talk about Roman Reigns now, Steve?
Yeah, man.
So we've been wondering, seemingly Roman's got some of his summer schedule freed up.
Oh, yeah.
Less house shows, less TV potentially. But what does that mean for the premium live events that he is advertised for? That being Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, Clash of the Castle.
Premium live events.
Who is he going to face? Well, thanks to Wrestling Observer Newsletter, we might know because Dave Meltzer mentioned in this latest issue what WWE has planned for Roman and the Universal title over the summer, stating, quote, right now the talk is, and none of this is close to etched in stone, that Reigns wrestles Riddle July 2nd. That's Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank.
Orton, July 30th, SummerSlam. And Drew McIntyre, we've heard this already, September 3rd, Clash at the Castle. The interesting name here is Riddle because I would have thought the odds were pretty good that he might have been the Money in the Bank ladder match. Potentially. But now it seems like we're getting this title unification, tag title unification bout tonight. It seems like if these matches happen, they're using this storyline not to actually unify the tag titles, but to motivate contenders to challenge Roman Reigns through the summer.
Yeah, you can kind of do both. Yeah, but you would think, I don't know, like, does this, let's say that this is the plan right now. Clearly it would mean, I don't know, what's going on in, we have anything in June? What's the next paper? Oh, Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. Yeah, Roman's not on that one.
Yeah, he's not on that one. I was thinking the Bloodline though. Because it could totally still the tag unification thing could still happen. I don't think it's going to happen tonight. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, 2% botch it happens tonight.
That shit's going to be a wonk finish. And then, of course, fast forward to 9 and it happens. Yeah, I know. I think tag unification could still happen, which could motivate this stuff. Honestly, so it could. So obviously it would take Riddle out of the equation for Money in the Bank. Orton at SummerSlam or McIntyre at Clash of the Castle could mean that they would win Money in the Bank and declare for those events. McIntyre, that's a distinct possibility that he could win Money in the Bank and say, I'm going to take those titles. I'm going to do it on my home turf. It's just then McIntyre would have to lose, right?
You'd think so.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, you'd think so.
But, I mean, it'd sort of be in line with Roman. Went to his hometown. Or
it would be.
Home area.
It would be.
General
it would be. I mean,
they had,
if they wanted Drew to win the title, they had the perfect opportunity at Backlash to do it. Just make that match winner take all.
Yeah. No, but if you're going to do it, that crowd's going to be nuts.
I agree with that, but I'm saying in the general sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You have Drew carry it through the summer. He defends it in Cardiff, and then the next pay-per-view, whatever, he drops it back to Roman for WrestleMania 6. He totally could have done that.
Oh, I totally forgot about this. Weird Assassin says, I think this means Cody. Oh, Cody's totally going to win Money in the Bank. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Cody is winning Money in the Bank.
Cody's totally winning Money in the Bank. He's like the guy right now. Yeah. That's a good point, everybody. All right, man, let's talk about Impact Wrestling.
Let's do it.
We're on the road to Slammiversary, so a lot of stuff is sort of set up for that, of course. Gauntlet of the Gold went down, and so we got Eric Young. I really enjoyed that promo that he cut about his career. I thought it was like a lot less goofy and sinister and a lot more just sort of real, you know? I really liked that promo. I thought it was a really well-done video package.
I thought it was really good. And he was talking about his history predominantly in Impact, but pretty much his history with professional wrestling as a whole, because it starts back when I believe it was his dad got tickets to go to WrestleMania 3 when he was young. And, you know, as soon as he's out of school, bang, right into wrestling school. And his life has been professional wrestling. And he says the whole kind of thesis of it is, I'm finally who I am now.
Yeah, I'm the most Eric Young.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. It's just, you do have to wonder what kind of mind he has for professional wrestling when he keeps on putting Diener in the tag team matches.
Well, I will say this: like, he should have the utmost confidence in Joe Doring, because Joe Doring, I think, he's great. I think he's undefeated in singles action.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I think they said that.
Yeah,
I could be imagining things.
And when it's him and Eric Young, they have a pretty good track record with those tag titles. But
here's the thing: Eric Young, tag titles, great. Eric Young has a world championship match in 1 month. He's resting his body, so he's at 100% for that bout.
2 titles.
You get the top one first. You get the top prize first.
Well, you don't have to. If you have an opportunity at either of them, you go for it, man.
You get the top. Well, I don't think you try to win tag titles and risk injuring yourself and then cost yourself the world title.
Isn't putting Cody Diener in a match like, just sort of giving up immediately? Yeah.
Well, now he can say after. But here's the thing: maybe he'll say, "Well, after I win title, then I'll go back to Briscoes and say, yeah, you beat us with me. Now I'm champion.
Point. Okay. All right.
Now we step in, then we get both. I'm saying you get that world title first. You get that top prize, and then you worry about the tag title.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Why is the best feud right now on Impact Wrestling between Carl Anderson and Maria Kanellis?
It's long-term storytelling. Really, it is.
It is long-term storytelling built on one of the most popular wrestling gifs. Yeah, exactly. You're doing all sorts of dancing today.
I didn't know I was doing this much dancing.
And then Carl Anderson. There you go. So, of course, it's a popular gift from like 2015 of Carl Anderson.
I'm going to throw my shoulders out doing that.
I know, right? Maria Kanellis up on the apron trying to distract Bullet Club. And she's doing a little dance, and he's doing a little dance, and AJ Styles starts doing a little dance, and it's a wildly hilarious gif. And so they got their history. And so they're using that as fuel a little bit. And so we got a little bit of that. But it ended up being like, dude, Honor No More, they are one of the most hapless factions
I've ever seen in my
life. I legitimately, when they come out at this point, I just think, oh, these losers. they're so hapless. They're so hapless. They needed an Impact dude to lead them.
I know, and like the most dominant one amongst them is 50-something years old, PCO.
He is. He totally is. Oh man. So no, I mean, look, Impact. It was a lot of fun. There was some cool stuff going on. This
opening bout was awesome.
Oh, man, Mike Bailey can do no wrong, and you put him in there with Laredo Kid, another guy who can do no wrong. Good. This stuff was great. So Bailey wins with a backwoods here over Laredo Kid, a roll up. Even though Bailey's legs, and I think wasn't Laredo one of Laredo's kids' like hands or arms or something like that. Like, so, like they were basic. He got this pin and half of their body sort of melding into each other from the roll up was like under the rope, but the ref didn't care.
I know, but commentary mentioned it, so I don't know if that's going to come into play later.
Oh, okay.
Who knows?
Okay, yeah.
Who knows? Then we got Ace Austin promo. Of course, he's in Japan competing at Best of Super Juniors.
Man, I still have to watch that any of his matches, but I wanted to check out that Alex Zane match that he had, the first one in the tournament.
Yeah. So he spends this promo talking crap about Mike Bailey. Of course, they had their own falling out before Rebellion.
Yeah.
And he says, "Yeah, I'm focused here now, but after this tour is done, I'm on a plane, head to Nashville, and my focus will be on Ultimate X Slammiversary." And he just says he's going to win.
Yeah,
he's going to retain.
Yeah, he's a good promo, man. I really like Ace Austin. He's terrific.
Yeah, I do too.
After that, from their honeymoon, you had Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green doing like a Matt Chat video, saying, Cardona mentions he's living rent free in Rich Swan's head. Of course, Rich Swan's going after his digital media title. He says, "I'm always ready, but I'm not always available. I'm a busy guy. If Swan wants a shot at my title, too bad. He hasn't earned it yet." And then Chelsea Green, of course, she's going to be in that Queen of the Mountain deal. And so she talked about winning that. After that, we had Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steelz, and Savannah Evans taking on the team of Jordan Grace, Taya Valkyrie, and Mia Yim. And I believe they're all going to be except for Savannah Evans, they're all going to be part of Queen of the...
Taya's not in the match either.
Oh, okay. So everybody else is going to be part of the Queen of the Mountain stuff too. Mia Yim, they're booking really strong here in Impact. Yeah. Upon her first couple months anyways, she gets the win with a defeat over Savannah Evans.
Mia Yim's entrance is awesome.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
It's so cool.
It reminds me of what were those like that dance troupe that Shaq came out to the All-Star game with? I forget their name, but it reminds me of that.
Is it Jabberwocky?
Yeah. Whoa. Look at the memory on you, man. Yeah, you're all about the dance this day.
I guess so. So after that, we had locker room talk with Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood. Pretty quickly, Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice joined them, and Swinger invites them to Swinger's dungeon, and then the Decay teleport in. They pretty much challenge Influence to a tag title match, and then Zicky stands up and stands up next to Havoc and goes, "Hey, I remember you from the dungeon." She pushes him back down. Decay just kind of says, "Influence, we'll see you later." They teleport out, and then Swinger and Zicky go back to the dungeon. I like that Swinger has that little hand cart that he got the ring ropes around that he made Zicky push him around on.
Yeah, that's pretty funny stuff. This is all pretty funny stuff. After that, we had a Chris Sabin interview. He challenges Frankie Kazarian to a match next week. He's like, "Hey, we once had a match 20 years ago that was all about the future of the industry." He's like, "Well, I guess that's kind of now. So let's revisit that." And then we had the flashback thing. It was cool. They had a big chunk in the finish of that match that they had 20 years ago. That was cool, man. I texted you. I was like, "Remember we saw Frankie the Future Kazarian at some indie show? Wasn't it like at Mather? Was that at Mather?"
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That's the same one that Abdul the Butcher?
I believe so. But there might have been a couple indie shows that I'm just jamming into the one Mather show that we went to. After that, we had that terrific Eric Young video package. He basically just details his history and impact. It's a really well-told story that he has with a lot of great footage from back then. References Vince McMahon as a crazy old man who couldn't see past his own nose. And yeah, it was good stuff. Like you said, he said, this is the most me I've ever been. This is the purest form of Eric Young. After that, we had a Josh Alexander interview. Talks about Eric Young. He says, "I recognize everything he's done for Impact. He's in the conversation to be Impact's MVP of the first 20 years of Impact." He says Slammiversary is a celebration of that 20 years, but it's also a kickoff for the next 20. I'm not giving this title up easy, so if EY wants to win, he's got to bring the fight of his life.
Mm-hmm. Then we had the hapless Honor No More, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett taking on the Good Brothers.
The Devil Dicks.
Yeah. So at one point, Good Brothers looking for a magic killer on Taven. Bennett breaks that up with a spear. And then he accidentally decks Taven.
He does, yeah. Yeah,
Good
Bennett,
Brothers.
Like, is he like Mr. No Depth Perception or something? Like, I
don't know.
Is he like a step slow or something? Because like he accidentally decks Taven at the end of this. He accidentally spears Maria, his own wife. And then he gets hit with a gun stun. Carl Anderson got the win with a gun stun. It was great.
I liked it after he speared Maria. Like he and Bennett and Carl were just like talking shit to each other for a while. And then Carl Anderson hits the gun stun, wins, and just shrugs.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, this is a mess. You guys need to get your shit together, man."
Yeah,
I think that's what he was saying. But no, this is good stuff. Maria's terrific on commentary.
Yeah, she's really good.
She's a lot of fun on commentary. And then she gets up and starts like up on the apron to distract the ref. And then Carl's like, he gets set up for a gun stun on Bennett. And as he just has his head here on his shoulder, he just starts talking shit to Maria.
Yeah, it was
good
pretty
stuff.
funny.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny. After that, we had a Sami Callihan promo. And he talks about not really being that mad that Moose broke his leg, but really pisses him off is the title he took from him. He says he's been in isolation for almost a year. Think about what he can do to Moose. He says, I can break Moose's leg, but that's not good enough. I'm going to make your life a living hell.
Oh. After that, we had a very quick match. Masha Slamovich, who is terrific.
Yeah, she's really good.
Her branding is great. And that snowplow finish of hers is
fantastic.
So cool. She really got the win over Shauna Reed pretty quickly with the snowplow. Afterwards, Havoc comes to the ring and starts John with Masha. So obviously that match is going to happen relatively soon.
Yep. Then we got a Raj Singh and Shira promo. Raj is talking about how Gujar disrespected them in the Gauntlet of Gold. Now that he's got a bullseye in his back, and then Gujar steps in.
He was just standing there.
He was just standing right there the whole time Raj was talking crap.
Yeah,
so
great.
He steps in and goes, I'm done with this. If you have a problem, let's settle it in the ring. And Raj says, at first, I was mad. Now this is just laughable. He says, Shira's going to smash you by himself. And he says, do you think you have to do this by yourself? And then in steps W. Morrissey. And so Raj and Shira are like, all right, well, Shira can beat you and they leave.
Yeah.
And so Gujar says, hey, I can't do this by myself. And Morrissey said, there's no shame in accepting someone's help when they offer.
That was so nice.
I know.
I
It's
love
very
W.
heartfelt.
Morrissey. I know.
I do too.
He was like, because here's the thing. He wasn't just talking about wrestling, Larson.
I know.
Right.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Main event saw Violent by Design's B Team, and that's any version that features Diener, versus the Briscoes. This is the Briscoes we're talking about. So obviously the Briscoes get the win over Diener with backwoods. Eric Young hits the ring. Violent by Design attack the Briscoes. Josh Alexander comes down to make the save. He's got a stare down with Eric Young. Diener and Doring attack him from behind. Alexander and the Briscoes then clear the ring. Obviously next week, 6-man tag action.
It looks like it's heading that direction, don't it?
Yeah. Let's talk about NXT UK. I mean, this was probably as monumental as 200 was last week. This was a step down from that.
And it seemed like even it was treated like an afterthought because it didn't go up on the network till an hour and a half or so later than it usually does.
Right. It was like at a weird time. It was like 1:43 or something weird like that.
It was. So it wasn't bad per se. It just, I don't know. It was just kind of all right.
I'm still surly that they friggin' took away the best entrance, the second best entrance after Gallus. Although they took that away too because Joe left. The De Familia's entrance of all of them standing in a row and then separating. Mm-hmm. Now it's just there's like a spotlight and they're just sort of there. And then they do their entrance thing twice, once on the stage and then again different when they're in the ring and they're all doing a different motion. They're still my fucking favorite, though. I love these guys. Are so cool. I love them so much. Yeah, they're awesome.
They're good. They're really good. So the show opened up with Amel tagging with Angel Hayes to take on Zaya Brookside and Eliza Alexander. Zaya and Eliza get the win. Zaya is distracted by, the ref is distracted by Zaya hitting Amel on the apron. So then Eliza punches Angel Hayes, and then Zaya hits Angel Hayes with her finish to get the win.
This next bit made me realize that Ivy Nile, like, they really just need to bring NXT UK's creative team over to NXT 2.0, because this next bit where Ivy Nile, she's in she knocks on Mako's locker room. Millie opens the door. Ivy walks in. She bows to Mako, says, I've heard that very respectfully, I've heard that if anybody wants a title match, all they have to do is ask. So that's what I'm here to do. May I have a title match? And Mako looks at her and says, I accept. And then Ivy Nile bows, and then she leaves. In that one scene right there. And Grant, we've had plenty with Ivy. They've actually done a good job with her in NXT 2.0.
Yeah.
But she came off as so genuine. And I feel like when they're prepping people to go to main roster in 2.0, her stuff is going to be more like, oh, I'm aggressive and I'm the scripted aggressive stuff. That just this was so cool. I really like this one little moment that was really well done.
I know that's what NXT UK specializes in is having characters that come off as 100% genuine.
Yeah, totally.
And they do that better than anybody.
Yeah. I like
speaking of which,
that's going to be a good match, by the way.
It will be a good match. Next, we had East End Bookie segment with Noam Dar and Shaw Samuel. So Shaw, of course, he's got his board there with his betting odds. And he's talking about how angry he is with Damon Kemp. He says Damon Kemp questions the integrity of my house. He says the odds did say that I was going to beat you, but now the odds say that I'm going to end you. Then we had tag team bout, Rohan Raja and Teoman taking on Dave Mastiff and Jack Starr. So the kind of deciding factor of this is that Charlie Dempsey was ringside. He grabs the jacket, Jack Starr's jacket, the Mastiff gave him, and just starts banging it on the apron. Just banging it on the apron.
I think he throws it down and stomps on it too.
He does.
And by the way, in that moment, Stars was like dominating this match.
Yeah, he was.
Like he was taking on both these dudes and I think he was about to hit his finish or something on one of them. Yeah. But then Dempsey starts going off on the jacket, and Stars hits him with a plancha. The match just completely breaks down. Teo Man ends up getting his finisher on Stars for the win. It was after I think Raja threw Stars into the steel steps, or maybe that was Teo Man, I forget. But yeah, no, it was bad move on Jack Stars there.
Really was. So then we get a Lash Legend interview. She's talking about how she doesn't have any issue with Amelia McKenzie. She says that's the girl who carries Mako's luggage, right? And so Amelia's around the corner. She hears this. She steps in, and they get in a little bit of a brawl, and the rest break.
After that, we had DeFamilia backstage, and Sid Scale, he like runs after him, says, "What was that about?" Raja says, "Yeah, we're a family. We'll look out for each other." And then says, "Okay, well, you know what? For Dempsey's match next week, this against A-Kid, he says, you two are banned from ringside." And Teo Man just sort of laughs it off, and he says, he tells Raja and Dempsey, he says, "The eye always has a plan."
You know what? Sid's got to stop with these banned from ringside stipulations, because how well did that work out in the main event?
It never works. And
it doesn't work
there's
out.
No consequences for people violating the banned from ringside thing.
Nope. Just flagrant disrespect of the rules. Anyways, next we got Josh Morrell taking on Kenny Williams. The whole time, Kenny Williams is looking around the arena looking for people in masks.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And then there are a couple of them show up.
Yeah,
They're standing towards the back.
It's not just Tiger Turn now. It's like a bunch of masked people.
Yeah, a couple of them, yeah. So the finish saw Kenny Williams hit a chop block, follows this finish to get the win. And then there's another masked person that walks out on the ramp. That was it.
It's like Rawgate. It's like what happened when there was like multiple Sasha Bankses. Now
there's like 3 of them.
Tiger's Turn.
Yes.
After that, we had Von Wagner.
Gosh.
He was lifting some weights. This guy he's a mess. So he says, because he's asked, like, what do you think about Sam Gradwell? And he's like, Sam Gradwell, the whole UK roster isn't as big and as strong as I am. And he's going to find out that it's Von Wagner's world. He says some nonsense, and then he says this stupid catchphrase.
Yep.
And then Gradwell steps in and says, "You what, mate? I'm not scared of you." He says, Vaughn says, your Sam is nothing to him. Pie faces him, and then they start to brawl a little bit, but it's sort of broken up.
Yeah, pretty much immediately. Then we get a Mustache Mountain interview.
Oh, this was funny.
I
love Trent. He's so good. He says, you know what? I want to talk about us for once, not our opponents. He says, we're the best team NXT UK's ever produced. Best team NXT as a whole has got. Another win for Mustache Mountain. And Tyler says, dude, we don't have to be pinned to lose. We've got to be at our best. And he's like, oh, smart boy. Smart head on these shoulders of yours. We need to reassess talk techers.
Mm-hmm.
He said we got to talk techers.
That was great.
Which means technique. I know that because of the dangerous techers.
Exactly. After that, we have a short Mark Andrews interview to set up a match with Kenny Williams. So he's talking about Eddie Dennis. He's going to get everything he deserves tonight after all he did to Wild Boar. So Kenny Williams and Sid walks by. Kenny Williams has a handful of those flyers he's been posting looking for this masked individual. And Mark says, well, I hope you get everything you deserve too. He's got beef. Match in 2 weeks, you'd guess.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Eddie Dennis, he did get everything he deserved because he got his ass whooped in this match against Wild Boar. Man, so Eddie Dennis didn't even want part of this match. His music played, and then it cuts to backstage. He's like walking away. He's like, I don't want to do this. Wild Boar comes running at him with the dog collar. He's already got it on. He's just beating the crap out of him. Towards the finish, Boar power bombs Eddie Dennis on the dog collar chain. Got 2 with that. Primate comes ringside. Boar knocks him off the apron. Spears Dennis in the corner. Follows with a cannonball. Primate breaks up the pin with a top rope headbutt. Boar then ducks a punch from Dennis. Locks on the crossface with the chains across Eddie Dennis's mouth. Mm-hmm. But then he wraps the rest of the chains around like his eyes and his forehead and his cheeks. And it looked absolutely brutal.
It looked like it sucked.
Eddie Dennis ended up tapping out, of course.
Yep. We got, of course, Smackdown and Rampage tonight. The only thing advertised officially on WWE.com as of right now is RK Bro and the Usos set for a winner-take-all unification clash. Guessing that we're not going to get a satisfying end to that battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably. I would be surprised if unification happens.
Yep.
If unification happens, that'd be pretty shocking tonight.
It would be.
It would not shock me to see that at Hell in a Cell. If Roman's not going to be there, you get the, because right now there's only, I think, one Hell in a Cell match announced, and that's Cody Rollins. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't shock me if they actually unified the titles in Hell in a Cell, but I could be wrong.
It's possible. We got 4 matches advertised for Rampage: House of Black versus Fuego, 10 and Evil Uno, Chris Statlander versus Red Velvet in an Owen tournament bout, Sean Spears against A Giant.
Is this like A Kid, but A Giant?
No, I think it's just a larger competitor.
Gotcha.
And then Blackpool Combat Club versus Matt Sydal and Dante Martin.
Easy win for Blackpool Combat Club there, but that should be fun. Those are all fun matches. The Statlander Red Velvet one should be especially pretty good.
That should be good.
All right, so we put up a question thread on our YouTube channel on the community tab. We got a bunch of questions there. We're not going to be able to get to them all, but we're going to get to as many as we can.
Indeed.
First up from the original Caffeinator. He said, I kind of like the trials to get to MJF stories, except it always seems to be the same ones. What do you think would be some new and interesting trials to overcome if this storyline happens again? So
I like when he did the matches.
Yeah.
I like when he did the matches with
the
Jericho.
History, yeah. Like, hey, these are all, it's like this is your life, but in matches.
Partially, and then there's Nick Gage in there too.
Yeah, right, yeah, plus Nick Gage.
Plus a death match to main event an AEW show.
Yeah. I like that because that'll always be specific to the person that he's feuding with. So I like that a lot. What else could he do? I mean, anything else seems like it'd be gimmicky. I'm kind of with you. Like, stick to stuff in the ring. I don't know. I still say practical jokes. Like you do the thing where MJF he's in a room with Spears, and then like Wardlow would be. I think I mentioned this on one of the shows. Wardlow would be like at McDonald's or something, and they're like, say this ask for a Whopper. No, because he's at a McDonald's.
Let's go make it even simpler. So MJF, he's got a nice suit on.
Yeah.
He's got like a little corsage, some flowers on his lapel. Just like looking really dapper. He goes, Wardlow, come here. Come smell this flower. And he shoots water out of the flower right in his face.
That's a trial of MJF. That's like
it's a practical joke.
That is a practical joke. That is true. Yeah. He's like, I got you. And Wardlow's like, I don't even know what happened.
He does in the middle of the ring, and it's really embarrassing.
John.
He says, Wardlow, come shake my hand. He's got those buzzers in his hand. You know?
It like barely vibrates. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. What if it's like, hey, one of your trials is you have to shit your pants in front of everybody here.
Oof.
He's like, to get a match against you, I have to poop my pants? He's like, yeah, you got to wear these white undies. He's like, that's horrible. He's like, if you want a match, he's like, okay.
All right. It's really the whole episode of Dynamite's just him in the corner trying to push one out, huh?
He's like, I'm very regular. It happens at 9:03 every morning. John Davies says,
like,
hey,
does anybody got any prunes?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Who's got some X-Lax? John Davies says, you guys ever do a rehearsal or a dry run of an episode, particularly when dealing with an emotive story? No. Larson usually just stops talking, and then I talk. I stumble my way through shit.
See, like, you're better at stumbling your way through things than I am.
It's, we both have our strengths and weaknesses. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if I have anything to add, I will. But I would say 95% of subjects, if not more, we generally agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And so, yeah. I mean, there's times where I probably like to say more about stuff, but at the same time, it's like I know I'm not as articulate. I'm not as well spoken.
Yeah,
just not.
Yeah, trying to articulate certain things, like especially like the speaking out stuff, was really difficult. Yeah. to get through. It's just been anything involving that kind of material that's outside the purview of like, wrestling, backstage politics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's like neither of us are. I mean, look, we're both kind of older. We have plenty of life experience, but like there are certain things that we just, that we don't have experience dealing with. And oftentimes it's difficult to talk about that kind of stuff in any sort of, halfway graceful or articulate way. Mm. That being said, if it is in advance of an episode like that, I think there have been times when we'll sort of just say, hey, let's maybe take this angle with it. So we're not stumbling around so much.
Definitely.
It's not very often at all, but we don't really do rehearsals or dry runs.
No, we don't. We don't. Not generally. No. I mean, I feel like I have a hard time constructing coherent sentences just talking about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And especially stuff that's a little more, serious subject matter. I just feel like I just stumble my way through it maybe, and it just, I don't know.
We have good intentions.
We try.
We do what we can. Stephen James says, seeing how WWE has treated some of their, in quotes, employees, do you find it interesting when some conservative wrestling fans speak out against the company while still defending their corporations and billionaires who treat their workers? Nothing surprises me anymore. I don't find anything interesting anymore. No, I think no. I don't pay any mind to any of that stuff.
Mm-mm. Here's a good one from Jason Jimerson. In your opinion, what has been the best wrestling segment so far this year? Doesn't matter from which company it was. What's the best segment? Not necessarily match, just segment.
Was Punk MJF stuff this year?
Yeah.
When Punk got all bloody, I thought that was a pretty effective segment. Mm-hmm. That's sort of off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's been other ones.
It was small. That it was a small instance. That time when Paige got in the ring, got right in Adam Cole's face.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's like the first we really saw of like aggressive.
Yeah.
Hangman Page.
Yeah. I know.
The academic challenge between Alpha Academy and Arcade.
That was a really
those
fun
segments were all really good.
They were all really good. Yeah. I even like the lie detector test.
Yeah.
I thought that all the Ezekiel, ever since Ezekiel's come back, even that little backstage interview with Ciampa when Kevin Owens said, that's Elias. No, that's Ezekiel, his younger brother. Easy mistake to make.
Easy mistake to make.
Was that this year? Chaz Moses mentions Eddie Kingston and Punk.
Was that this year?
Or
that was last year.
I think that wasn't that match at Full Gear.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Revolution was the last one. That was the MJF.
That was a dog collar match.
Punk one. Yeah. Yeah, because I think I remember Eddie Kingston and Punk being up there for like, feud of the year, match of the year, segment of the year, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, look, Chaz Moses, that was good. It was November. It was almost
It was great. They managed to create a captivating feud in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome. Let's see here. Ant Vision says, let's see here. Shortly after Ron Simmons won the world championship in WCW in 1992, I remember him turning heel, aligning with Harley Race, and taking the place of Lex Luger. I always wondered why this point in history was never talked about and why I couldn't find any footage of it. It wasn't until recently that I discovered that this never happened, even though I had vivid memories of it. Yes, Ant Vision, we have the same thing.
Yes.
So he asks us, what Mandela effects, angles, characters, or events in wrestling history you guys have experienced? Plenty. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of any now, but I know that has totally happened to me before. And it's usually small bits during the Attitude Era, because that's like when everything was new to me and it was processing for the first time. But I know I've mentioned them before, but there have been times when I've been like, oh yeah, no, I remember this. And I'll look for it. I'll be like, oh, here's a good example. I'm almost positive that, so in my memory, when Sid randomly turned babyface and teamed with Goldberg in WCW, Goldberg was making his entrance and Sid was right behind him during the entrance on the mic, or, well, not right behind him, like, I don't know, 15, 20 feet behind him.
There's a new babyface in town promo.
Yes. I don't think he actually said there's a new babyface in town. I could be wrong about that, but I swear to God, I looked it up once and it did not go down that way. Could be wrong, or I could be right, depending on your perspective. But yeah, I think that's one of them. There's a bunch of
little even like his cadence. There's a new babyface in town.
I got to look it up. Now I got to look it up.
Now
I got to look it up.
Bailey Killjoy. What's the funniest thing Larson has done to make someone laugh, intentionally or not? I feel like him wanting to attack Hilton would be up there.
What's the funniest thing you've done, intentionally or not intentionally? Shit. That was pretty funny. Man, I don't know. It's always those little things that you do, those little asides that you throw in. I can't think of one thing. I don't know. When you have a friendship going 25 years,
yeah,
and all the times we've laughed our asses off, it's hard. I mean, I'll be honest. I took a picture of you once after a WWE show.
Okay.
And about an hour before this picture, we had like eaten some things.
Gotcha.
And oh my God, it's the look on your face, because you were kind of laughing. We were both very, very giggly.
Yes.
And we were at a restaurant.
Yes.
And I found doing math for the tip.
I remember that, yes.
To be the funniest thing I had ever thought of in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I had taken a picture of you, and I think I'd sent it to Jeff. And he was like, oh my God, look at Larson. And it was and I was like, oh my God, it was the funniest thing. It was the funniest damn look on your face, because you don't get that look on your face very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. White Brownie said Larson getting frustrated with Steve when Steve tried to figure out who stole Big Red. Yeah, all that stuff was pretty damn funny.
Devmo says wrestling office, she says.
Oh, that in recent history, wrestling office, she says, is probably up there. That was unintentional. It was just you were so tired. Wrestling office, she says.
Wrestling office, she said.
Oh, that was hilarious. This is a great question. Hub City says, if Steve and Larson could take over WWE, what's the top 5 things you guys would improve, and what's the best year of the Attitude Era? For me, the best year of the Attitude Era is probably 97. It was probably when it all like really kicked off. Like I know 98 is when Stone Cold got the title and everything and they had the new DX, but to me like the Shawn Michaels DX was so much cooler.
Oh, it really was.
And you had like if you take all of 97, you had the real kickoff, which is the Montreal screw job. Yep. Like when Vince was invented and decided he didn't want Bret Hart around anymore. That was that to me it's 97. And Brian Pillman gun stuff was I think in 97.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a toss up between 97 and 98 for me. There's some good stuff in 98.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there absolutely was. I think Dan Severn came along in 98.
How's that not top set?
That's enough for me right there. Let's see here. We'll do a couple more. Raphael says, who do you think has a higher overall ceiling, MJF or Jade Cargill? I kind of feel like at the end of the day, in terms of like crossover appeal, it's Jade.
It is Jade. I
think MJF's going to be wrestling for a long time, but I think Jade is probably going to go Hollywood after AEW.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible.
This is a good question. Braden Fletcher says, who's one person you would have liked to have seen guest host Raw back during its guest host years?
So that was predominantly like the early aughts, right?
It was the early teens. So like 2009 to 2011 kind of situation. I think it was like 2010.
I don't know why, but Andy Samberg pops in my head.
What a great answer. That's a really good answer. Yeah, I like that one. That's good. That's really good. I can't do better than that. That's good. We also got one more announcement here from White Brownie. Woods versus Butch and Sammy versus Nakamura announced for tonight.
More rematches.
Okay, cool. Right on. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Once again, do us a big favor. Give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notify bell. And if you're listening to us out there in the audio realm, take a couple seconds, leave us a rating, review, or a comment. Hit that 5-star, and we'd really appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald, here to tell you to go support Going In Raw and Friendo Club at patreon.com/Steven Larson. They got bonus episodes, ad-free audio, a weekly newsletter rounding up the weekend wrestling news, and a bunch more. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. Go support or get hit with a stunner.